and welcome back to another episode of SheReset, your place for healing, growth, and of course, transformation. Today's episode is one of those conversations that needs to be had. It might ruffle some feathers, but if you're here, I know you're ready to hear. We're talking about one of the most damaging myths in relationships, the idea of being the ride or die. I don't know about you, but I've seen this concept pushed everywhere, literally everywhere. No matter what, you should be a ride or die. You've heard it too, right? The idea that love means you give up everything for the other person. But what happens when that mentality leaves you lost, empty, sacrificed? Your peace, your joy, even your sense of self. Today, we're going to dive in and tear that myth apart. Talk about how it's time to stop being the martyr in our relationships. Love isn't about sacrifice, it's about balance, partnership, and more importantly, loving yourself enough to know when to stop. Let's dive in on this episode of She Reset. The ride or die myth. Let's start with this idea of ride or die. It's been romanticized, right? It's the hallmark of a committed partner, the one who's willing to go through anything, endure anything just to prove their love. Sounds noble, right? It's the ultimate level of dedication, but let's be real. What is the cost? What does this type of commitment really ask of us? Think about that. It tells you, I'll tell you, it asks for everything: your time, your energy, your dreams, your mental, your emotional health. Damn, everything, and sometimes even blood. We've all been there trying to hold it all together, putting someone else's needs first and thinking that what love is supposed to look like. But here's the thing, it's not. It's not martyrdom. It's self sabotage in disguise as loyalty. Here's the first thought I want to throw out there. What happens when you give everything to someone else and forget to take care of yourself? I know the ride or die mentality sounds noble, but the truth is, it makes us lose ourselves. It keeps us in a cycle of overgiving, over sacrificing, and undervaluing our own interests and our own needs. Let me tell you a story. I've always believed in the ride or die myth. I really did. I felt like I have to show this person that I love them no matter what. When everybody else leaves and abandons them, I'm going to be there. Even at the detriment of my own happiness, my own joy, my own feelings. Sacrificing my dreams, sacrificing my self worth, agreeing and allowing things to happen that I really didn't want to happen. But hey, I got to show that I'm going to be there no matter what. What did I get in return? I tell you what I got. And I know a lot of you have gotten the same thing: nothing but heartbreak. And at the time, you don't really realize that it's heartbreak. You don't really realize that you're not getting anything. They'll say, thank you. I wouldn't have done it without you. Thank you. This is such a blessing. Thank you. But all the while, little pieces of you every single day is dying. Little pieces of you that you knew that you shouldn't have let go of. And if you did, you knew what would happen. Those little sacrifices, one by one, they happen. And not even noticing them at first, but then at the end, when you feel empty, your gut is just wrenching. It's just, I gave you everything and you gave me nothing. See, the danger of martyrdom, think about it for a second. The ride or die mentality isn't just a relationship thing, it's a societal thing. It's rooted in the idea that we're supposed to take on the weight of the world for our partners, for our kids, for everyone except ourselves. It's as if being self sacrificial is the highest form of love. Hell, we look at politics today, and on this day of this recording, the Senate just passed that big, beautiful, ugly, damn ass bill, sacrificing everyone, sacrificing the 85% of this country's population, sacrificing their wealth, their health, their protection, sacrificing everything. And for what? For some billionaires? Like, what is going to happen to us as a society? And the Trump supporters that support this, they are ride or die. They are, I'm with him no matter what. And they're sacrificing their own well being. They're sacrificing everything that their family depends on: Medicaid, food stamps, Social Security, everything, just to show, hey, we're down for this person. But what happens when we do that? We burn out. We lose our sense of self. We start to resent the people we're trying to love because we've given up so much of ourselves to make them happy that we can't even remember what makes us happy anymore. The other day this week, my friend invited me to come out and learn the boots on the ground line dance. Now, I love dancing. I love a good vibe. I love dancing. The line dances are the biggest thing right now, right? So she invited me out, and I went, and we spent about 2 hours trying to learn this dance, sweating because it's hot as hell on the East Coast right now. But we were dancing our little hearts out, and I finally got it. And I realized something in that moment. And when I got in my car and headed home, I was like, I don't have no hobby. I mean, I know I love to dance, but dancing is not just for when you go to the clubs. Dancing could be at home. Dancing can be anywhere. And I realized I don't have any hobbies. I'm 47 years old and don't have any hobbies. I used to love to read. I used to love going roller skating. I used to love dancing. I used to love hanging out. I am an extrovert, so I used to love it. And I've been in this relationship for 12 years. And I gave up what I love the most. I gave up my hobbies. I gave up my interests. I gave up my passion. So the reality is that martyrdom doesn't make you a saint. It makes you a prisoner. You're trapped in a cycle of self-sacrifice that leaves you empty. The people around you may not even notice, and even if they do, it doesn't mean that they'll stop taking. People will take and take and take. As long as you're willing to give it, people will take what they can. And it's not their fault. I mean, it's human nature. If somebody gonna give me something for free and I don't have to put any effort or, sacrifice anything for me, I'ma take it. And that's how most of us think, that we will take it. But what happens when you give everything to someone and forget to take care of yourself? What happens? We give and we give, but when's the last time someone asked us if you were okay? When's the last time someone checked in to see if you were taking care of yourself, of your own needs? But I want to ask you, and I want you to ask yourself, what do I actually need in my relationships? What do I need to feel, and how do I feel loved and supported without losing myself? That's the real question we need to be asking ourselves. Now, how can I give more, but how can I love myself more? How can I give me? I know it sounds selfish, it sounds self centered, sounds main character energy. I know that. But I really want you to ask, how can I love myself more and still show up for my partner in a way that's balanced and fulfilling? Sometimes we get wrapped up in these long relationships and we lose ourselves. But did we really lose it, or did we give it away? Did we really lose ourselves, or did we give it away? And what does that say about the person that we fell in love with, the person that we thought was our person, when they allowed us to give up so much of ourselves just to please them? Think about that. Who am I in love with that will allow me to make myself disappear so they can shine? Who is it? I know most of you guys don't think about that in the way that I just said it. And when you're doing it, you're like, mm, is it really like that? Is it? Yes. Who are you loving so much that you love them more than you love yourself? And who are they that you chose to love that will allow you to do this? That will allow you to give up so much of yourself? I know some of you are probably thinking, but Dre, isn't love about sacrifice? I'm here to challenge that idea. See, we've been taught that love means giving up our needs, our desires, our boundaries for the sake of a relationship. I see every day on social media, on different social media platforms, of these couples that we fall in love with. We watch them every day because they post every day. They tell us everything about their lives, but they don't tell us what's going on behind closed doors. And then when they break up, we're like, damn, what happened? And then they get on a live and they say, I gave up everything. Everything that I knew I shouldn't have been doing, everything that I was interested in, that I wanted, my dreams, my needs, I gave it up just to be with that person. But let's be honest, that's just conditioning. It's the same conditioning that tells women that they should always put everyone's needs first, even at the cost of their own happiness. Now, some people gonna get mad at me. You may not do it for a man, but you'll do it for your kids. And as a mother of two, 19 years apart. My first child, I sacrificed everything, my happiness, everything, to make sure that that child was a happy person. Now, don't get me wrong. I was happy with doing it because nobody ever did it for me. Nobody ever sacrificed everything for me. Nobody ever loved me the way that I wanted to be loved. So I wanted to give my everything to my first child. And now that child is going to be 29. And I asked him, when are you going to have kids? He said, I don't know. I don't think I'm built that way. I said, what do you mean? He said, I seen all the sacrificing you did for me, and I don't think I'm built that way. Wow. My child saw the sacrifices I made. And he said, I don't think I'm built that way. So don't take that as, and I didn't take it as an insult. I took it as I showed him that he has to love himself more. And that's the way he's built. He loves himself more. And I don't let him forget it. But here's the truth. Love doesn't require you to lose yourself. It requires you to show up as your fullest, most authentic self. It's about giving, yes, but it's also about receiving, respecting boundaries, and making sure that both parties are thriving. Now, that doesn't mean that it's always going to be balanced. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be equal. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be 50-50. No, sometimes it means that I'm going to let you shine and then I'm going to shine. And you got to support me the same way I supported you. I'm going to let you go off and fulfill your dreams and I'm going to take care of all this. But when you reach your dream, I need you to come back and lift me up so I can support my dream. If one person is constantly giving while the other one is constantly taking, you're setting yourself up for imbalance. And imbalance leads to resentment. Here's a thought to consider. What would it look like if we stopped seeing love as a sacrifice and started seeing it as a self empowerment? I'm going to sit back on that one. Let's try that again. What would it look like if we stopped seeing love as a self sacrifice and started seeing it as a self empowerment? Imagine a relationship where both partners were empowered to be their full, authentic selves, where they support each other but also prioritize their own well being. That's the kind of relationship we should be striving for, not the one that is constantly giving and giving and giving and giving until there's nothing left, till we're depleted, till you're sitting in your bedroom, in your bed in a fetal position. You can't move, even if you wanted to. You physically cannot get up. When your mind is never fully concentrated on anything, it's just all over the place. When you can't say the words, when you can't lift a finger, when you can't be you. So let's talk about the consequences of losing yourself. We've all been there, right? And if you haven't, I'm so happy for you that you haven't lost yourself, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Losing yourself doesn't mean that you loved hard and loved well. It means that you didn't love you. So if you haven't been there, that means that you're loving yourself. And I love that for you. You lose your identity into the relationship. You start to define yourself through your partner's needs. you lose sight of your own dreams, your own goals, your own vision for your life because everything about making sure the other person is happy. I'm going to be completely honest with you right now. I've had this dream and this passion to travel the world for the past 10 years, a decade. 2015, I came up with the idea watching all the YouTube videos and I was like, wow, I just had my son and I was like, I already gave up one dream because of the birth of my son. And I'm not saying that every woman, when they give birth, they have to give up their dreams. But my dream was to, before I had my son, was to go to grad school, get my master's, and eventually a PhD in education because I wanted to open up schools for Black boys. I wanted to educate our next generation of Black men. But when I got pregnant, I knew that the type of mother that I wanted to be, the present mother in my child's life, that dream would not be able to come true because I would have to dedicate my time, my mind, my spirit, my soul, and my love to the little Black boy that I was giving birth to. So I gave that dream up. But then when I had him, I was like, what's my passion now? And I wanted to travel. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to give the world to this little beautiful Black boy that I was holding in my arms. I told my husband my dream, and he was like, "Well, we can do that, but I need to. I need to. I'm in the middle of my elevation in my career. I need to do it to achieve the dreams that I wanted to do career-wise." And I put that dream off, and every new job he got that would put my dream off, he said, just give me 2 years. Just give me 2 years. And it seemed like, well, it didn't seem, it was. Every 2 years, he would go and apply for a new job and get a new job. And I'm like, what happened to what we were supposed to be doing? And he was like, I know, I'm sorry, but I couldn't pass up this opportunity. It was just too great to pass up. So give me 2 more years. And then finally, I told him, I don't have 2 more years to give you. I'm going this year, and if you don't come with me, that's okay. So here's the kicker. When we do that, we end up resenting the very people we were trying to love because I resented him. I had so much resentment in my heart. He got his dream job finally. We bought a house. Not the house I wanted, but we bought a house. We bought his dream car. So he had his dream job, his dream car, and a house. And I resented him for that because I never bought a house because I didn't know where I wanted to live permanently. Because to me, in my mind, buying a house was permanent. That's where you had to be for 20, 30 years. And I wasn't built that way. I felt like a prisoner and I resented him for years. So, yes, we start resenting the people we're trying to love. We start to feel invisible, underappreciated, and overlooked. And when we're constantly pouring from an empty cup, eventually we burn out. And that's what happened. About 2 years ago, I started not feeling like myself. I knew I was depressed. I was sad, but I still had this quirky personality. I still couldn't tell people I was sad. That couldn't be my story. But then my health started fading. I couldn't walk without losing my breath. I couldn't physically get out of bed until 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I couldn't go to sleep at night. I would have to take a sleeping pill to even go to sleep, Benadryl, sleeping pill, whatever to go to sleep. And every morning I woke up, I was like, and when I went to the doctor, and I finally got a doctor to listen to me, I was chronically anemic. My body would no longer absorb iron. I was depressed. I was fatigued. My body was burnt out. And being in this house, being in this state, being in this relationship was really actually killing me. I was pre-hypertension, pre-diabetes. Now, anybody that knows me, I have been skinny all my life. And I'm not even fat now. I have a little 30 pounds on me, but I'm still only 140. But yeah, my body was rejecting everything. So that's when I looked at him and I said, look, you know, I don't know how, I don't know why, but on this date, September 21st, 2025, I am out. Why did I pick that specific date? It was on my spirit. And that's the date that called me. And I said, I don't know how I'll do it. I don't know. You are welcome to come, but if you don't come, I'm not going to be mad at you. But I'm leaving. And here's the truth. It's not your partner's fault. It is all on you. You allowed yourself to get to this point. I allowed myself to slowly die because I wouldn't speak up, because I was too afraid, to walk out, to leave the situation that I had built. I actively planned every part of that relationship. I planned our wedding, didn't plan our pregnancy, but that's another story. But I actively participated in every part of our relationship. So it's not on him, it's on me. It's on you. You allowed yourself to get to this point. You agreed to put your own needs last. And now it's time to reset. And I know it's hard. I know it feels like you should be the one doing the sacrificing. But why do we feel that way? Why do you feel that way? But let's be real. If you're constantly sacrificing yourself, you're not helping anyone. You're setting a dangerous precedent. You in danger, girl. You teaching others that it is okay to take from you without ever giving anything back. And that's the relationship killer. I found myself telling my husband that you want me to give you something that you will never give me. That's not love and it's not right. And I am not mad at you. I'm mad at myself because I allowed that to happen. So how do we break the cycle? How do we move from the martyrdom mindset to a place of balanced love and partnership? The first step is simple but powerful. Stop sacrificing yourself. And I know I said that's simple because a lot of us don't even know that we're sacrificing ourselves. And I'm not even saying don't give in your relationship. What I am saying is give from a place of fullness, not emptiness. Love yourself more. Love yourself more. Take care of yourself first and give when you have the energy and the desire to do so. I got my first iron infusion about a month ago, and the doctor said, you'll start feeling like yourself in a month. And when I went to Costa Rica the very next week after that, and I started feeling better. I started feeling like myself, but the more and more days that went by, I had energy. I was getting up at 5:45 in the morning, and I am not a morning person. If anybody knows me, knows I'm not a morning person. I was born in the afternoon. I like to wake up in the afternoon. That is just me. I wake up in the morning when I have to. But I was waking up willingly every morning. I had the energy to do so. Then I start pouring into myself. So next, set boundaries. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to prioritize your own peace. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to stop wasting time trying to fulfill other people's needs. You are allowed to take time for yourself without feeling guilty. You are allowed to rest without productivity, rest without feeling guilty. It is okay. If your relationship is draining, it's time to have an honest conversation about what's not working and what you need. You can tell people what you need. I know we are not taught this. I know it's not something that we talk about often, but you are allowed to tell people what you need and what you will not do and what you will not accept and what you are willing to accept. But here's the question I want you to ask yourself. Am I giving because I truly want to or because I feel like I have to? That's the key to reclaiming your sense of self in your relationship, giving from a place of choice, not obligation. Love shouldn't feel like an obligation. It should feel like a choice. And when you choose yourself, you'll find that you give more freely without resentment. I know this trip in less than 90 days is a spiritual walk for me. It was a decision that I made that I had to make for myself. And if it meant losing my marriage, if it meant losing my relationship, then I was okay with that because it may sound drastic, but I had to put me first. I had to love myself more because I was giving from an empty cup. I wasn't the mother to my youngest son that I was to my oldest son, and my oldest son called me out on that. He said, I'm hurt because Jahai will never get the mother that I got. Blew me the fuck away. Say what now? Jahai will never get the mother that I got. That made me sad. It made me cry. He said, because you were the happy mom. You baked cakes. You went to amusement parks. You laughter, joy was your number one essence. And now you don't have that. It took my oldest son for me to realize that it was gone. And I know some of you don't see it, don't feel it, but you know, underneath it all, you know exactly the sacrifices you made. You know exactly if you're giving from an empty cup. You know, you just don't want to face it. And I knew it, but I didn't want to do it. I found myself in a predicament that I loved him more than I loved myself. And that is the worst possible state. What are we teaching our children? What are we teaching ourselves? Love doesn't require self sacrifice. Love requires balance, respect, and honoring who you are. If that person says that they love you, they should love your true, authentic self. You shouldn't have to give up you to be with someone. I want to hear from you. I know this episode hit hard for some of you, and I want to continue the conversation. What part of this ride or die mentality have you struggled with in your relationships? Have you lost yourself in your love for someone else? And most importantly, what are you going to do to start loving yourself first? Drop a comment, DM me, or share your thoughts on Instagram at she_resets25 or on TikTok at she_reset. I'm here to support you. We break free from these old patterns and create balance and empowering relationships. You can also reach me on Substack at SheReset. Remember, love does not require self-sacrifice. Love requires balance, respect, and honoring who you are. And you deserve nothing less. You really don't deserve anything less. Remember that. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This was a heavy conversation, but it's one that we need to have. Stop being a martyr. Start loving yourself in your relationships. The more you love yourself, the more you can love others in a healthy, balanced way. Until next time, I want you to remember you are worthy of love that doesn't ask you to sacrifice your peace. You are worthy of a relationship that makes you feel whole and not drain you. Now go love yourself first. Until next time.